Smile. But I'm not happy. People are staring. I don't want to do this. You have to. They'll know no one cares about your life. Why is that bad? Nobody cares. They won't understand. I want to go home. You'll hurt their feelings. This is ridiculous. What are we even talking about? Just you want to keep them happy. What if they're going to be mean? Just keep them happy. Just keep them happy. Just lie.
I'm not here to sugarcoat. Life's already a bumpy road. Too much shelter causes pain. Let's just be real honest. Things are gonna knock you down. Avoidance will not help you out. Let's talk it through here, me and you. Let's keep it real honest.
Hey there, welcome to Real Honest. This is the podcast where I share candid thoughts and feelings about life, love, and relationships, God and church, adulting, the workplace, and everything in between. I'm your host. My name's Samantha, and you probably won't always like me, but I will always be honest with you. If you are new here, welcome. Thanks for listening. I am Samantha. I am not an expert in anything at all. I'm not studying relationships or church. I did do a short stint in seminary, but quit. But basically, I'm just a girl who, I know people are going to have issues with that. So quick disclaimer, I don't know what it is about. It seems like post-college, like boys get really upset about being called boys. And they're like, I'm a man now and you must use man. And then because they're using man, they have to use woman. And I have some friends that are like, stop calling yourself a girl, you're a woman. Which, like, yes, but I feel like girl is evergreen for forever. Anyway, that's just a side rant that you'll get a lot around here if you're new. But also, I just want to do brief disclaimer in case for the new listeners of, like, I'm not an expert in anything. Truly, I am just a girl who has struggled a lot in life with relationships and with depression and with being a Christian and feeling like there are so many different definitions of Christian and just like, what does that even mean today? And I'm just trying to create a space for open and honest conversations in case anything that I have been through and how I'm learning how to work through it can help anyone. And if you have struggled with any similar things that I discuss and you have found better coping mechanisms, please share them with me because I'm always looking to experience more peace and calm and less chaos the older that I get, even though I do love a sprinkle of chaos here and there when I get bored. Anyway, today I want to focus on how easy it is to fixate on what is missing to the point where you miss what you already have. I feel like that is another, as I look back on like what has triggered my depression in the past, I do think a big part of it was me focusing on what I don't have and what I want and what I think that I need to the point where like I was not able to sit down and actually appreciate the things around me. All right, starting with a quick goals check-in. So a recent win, small thing that I'm very proud of. This is my third episode that I have recorded in 2 days, and God willing, I will still have the energy when I'm done with it to record a fourth one. I'm going to be traveling in July, and I just want to make sure I have episodes to schedule so that when I get back, I still have a couple scheduled and then can be back on my trajectory of posting consistently. That is the goal, understanding that it might not happen, but that is the goal. And so far, I'm very close to working on it or having it very close to succeeding it. So I'm excited about that. To tie this back into the topic today, I feel like at least I'll use me. I shouldn't say we. I feel like I often overlook like how far I've come or the things that I'm doing that I'm actually proud of because I'm so focused on what's next. And I have a tendency to worry and be like, well, what if when I get back from vacation, I'm too tired? And even if I have 2 more episodes scheduled, like I just lay down for 2 weeks and then I don't do anything and then I'm back off track again and then I'm not ahead and I want to be ahead and I'm like so worried about that I'm just like, okay, but today I am ahead. Today I've done what I wanted to do, and that's awesome. And even if I'm not where I want to be, I am so grateful that I am not where I used to be. So I feel like one of the things that God's really working with me on right now is that tension between wanting more and being content. And look at me, I accidentally did a little mini series here. Maybe that's a good thing, or maybe it's just because I'm recording all of these in the same handful of days that I'm just saying the same thing over and over again. And maybe you guys are listening to this like you literally just said exactly the same thing 3 weeks in a row. If that's the case, sorry. And maybe I should go back to my process of just recording one at a time each week so that they're totally, totally different. But in all seriousness, I totally think that it is okay to want more. You know, like I definitely want more out of life than I currently have right now. Like I would love to be married one day. I would love to move to a city that I'm actually excited to say that I live in. I would love to be closer to my family. I think I've gotten a lot closer to my family in the past few years than I was when I was younger, which has been great. I would like to be even closer to them still. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with wanting these things. I think the issue is when the focus on wanting them is so deep that you're unable to be content today. Like currently today, I am single. I have no prospects. I don't think that I'll ever date again, but I'm honestly okay with it. Like I'm totally open either way. Like if there is a life partner for me, I believe that I will meet him when I am supposed to. And if there's not a life partner for me, then I'll never meet him because he doesn't exist, and I will be totally chill with that. Like I think either way, the lesson for me has been in being okay with where I'm at today and being open to it changing, but not needing it to change in order to be successful. And I feel like this kind of ties into like the definition of worship in the sense that I feel like people know worship as like music, like raising your hands, singing, like praise and worship. But I feel like gratitude is also a form of worship and a part of prayer, where if you just sit and like literally list out the things that you have that you are grateful for and thank God for those things. And so this leads into my topic today, which I just want to pose the question, like, what if you already have something beautiful? I feel like it is so easy to focus on what you don't have. And like personally, I get trapped in that spiral all the time. And I think that that is what leads to depression. It can be a relationship, a home, a career, a body type, a breakthrough, a creative idea, a song, whatever it is. And it just, gets back to the toxic belief that I talked about last week of like, if I just had this thing, like, then I would be okay and I would be better. But gratitude is actually a practice. It's not a personality trait. I don't think that you need to feel grateful all the time. I don't think that it's possible to feel grateful all the time. But I think you can practice it literally with something as simple as like put a reminder on your phone to sit down. You can spend 1 minute. Like this does not have to be super involved to just list out 5 things that you're grateful for. It can be your job, your home, the fact that you can breathe air, the fact that your body is moving. If you just finished a workout and maybe you quit in the middle because it was too hard and you're like, but my body did half of it. That's cool. Grateful for that. But I think just being intentional with your gratitude will help to shift your perspective. And then over time, it will help you to focus on the things that you do have as opposed to the things that you don't have. Just to give you guys some examples, I've talked a lot on here about like my family dynamic, and like I grew up in a household that where everybody was physically present but not emotionally present. And I feel like my parents' parenting style worked really well for my sisters, but it didn't work super well for me. I really needed, like, my parents were at all of our events. Like they came to ballet recitals, any sporting, I mean, we didn't play sports for very long, but any, like choir concerts, band concerts, like my parents were always there, which was really great. But I feel like, I was writing music. I was very sad. I was crying a lot, and I feel like my parents very rarely would like come into my room and be like, why are you crying all the time? And they like wouldn't like sit down with me and ask like, what are you writing? Can I hear some of your music? Like, I just didn't get that interest from them. And so I feel like the thing that I was like praying for and dreaming about was like for them to see me. Like I wanted to be seen. I wanted to be acknowledged, and it just wasn't happening. But me focusing on the fact that like they weren't loving me in the way that I wanted them to show it to me. Like we have different love languages. That made me feel unloved, and I just got really angry with them. And I wasn't able to see, okay, they are showing love. We're actually defining the love languages differently. Like quality time to my parents is physically being in the same space at the same time. And quality time to me is being in the same space at the same time, either emotionally connecting or like engaging in an activity that both people enjoy, or like learning about each other and growing. And obviously I didn't have the tools back then. I wasn't in therapy, but being able, I wish that I had been able to like sit down and understand that, because that's something that is huge for me now, where like if I go out to dinner with my dad and like maybe he doesn't share a whole lot and the conversation is thin, like in the past I would have left that feeling like that was a waste of time. Like why did he even bother to take me to dinner? But now I understand that that's very meaningful to him, and that even though he is less expressive than me, he's less emotional than me, that doesn't mean that he doesn't love me. And he loves taking me out to dinner and like spending that time together. And I'm also now able to articulate to him what makes that time meaningful for me, and for us to attempt to get like meet in the middle, to get to a place where we can converge like what's meaningful to him and what's meaningful to me, so that we can both walk away feeling like it was a good time. So I think just ask yourself, what's already yours? What if you already have something beautiful in your life? Like I sit here and I think through like what's already mine. I may not have family members that communicate in the specific way that I want them to, but I have family members that are still living, that want relationships with me, that I want relationships with. So like that's an amazing foundation. I was very angry when I bought my house. I was angry that my parents had to help me buy it. I was angry that my parents had to push me into buying it. I was angry about the city that the house is in and just everything surrounding it. I was like, I don't want this. But there are people who like work their whole lives and like dream of being homeowners. And like, it's super inappropriate for me to be so ungrateful to be given the opportunity to own a home, even if it didn't happen in the way that I wanted. I think growing up, I always thought that I would buy a home with my husband. So I think I felt like a failure, both from like having to get help from my parents, but also like living in it by myself. I felt like I was kind of sealing my fate of like, all right, well, if I'm buying a house by myself, that means I'm going to be alone forever, and I'll never have a husband, and I'll never have children. And like, those things are not mutually exclusive. Like they don't inform one or the other. But I think like my mindset was so focused in on, this is not what I want. This is not how I want it to look, that I was not able, like my first couple of years in this house, I was not able to look around and just be grateful that like I have a house. Friendship is a really, really huge one for me, because there's the mystery of my high school friends that I think I will die not having solved this mystery. But I loved high school. High school was a dream for me. I had a giant group of friends, and within that giant group of friends, I had a core group of like 4 of us that hung out almost every weekend. We had so many slumber parties, like our parents all knew each other and us, and like I loved them so much. And I legitimately believed that we were going to be in each other's weddings and we were going to be in each other's lives forever. And I was so confused and distressed when we went to college and they all stayed in contact with each other and went on to be in each other's weddings and continue life together, but like essentially kicked me out of the group. And I still don't know if there's something specific that I said or did. I suspect it had to do with how depressed I got in college. I think just emotionally it was too much, and they weren't equipped to handle it and didn't know how to be a friend to somebody that was so severely depressed. But part of me also like wonders and worries if like they never liked me and they kind of just tolerated me because we were in school together. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I'm learning about adult friendships is just how different it is when you're friends with somebody because you see them every day at work. And then when one of you quits the job, you don't talk anymore. And then you start to wonder, like, were we really friends or were we just getting each other through this job? And I do wonder, like, maybe in their eyes, we were never friends. And maybe I was just somebody to tolerate because we went to school together and like they couldn't wait for us to graduate and to get away from me. I don't know. But I think that because I experienced what I believed were like very deep, emotional, connected, intense friendships so young and had them for so long, that's kind of what I have been chasing ever since then. And I think that that's part of why I have this fear that like my best friends now are going to disappear at any time. And, you know, I've talked in past episodes about like the different categories of friendship, right? Like there's like the social media friend, there are casual friends, there are friends that you have like a group or an activity in common and you need that group or activity to sustain the friendship. And then there's like your super close friends and your best friends. And I think the only difference between the close friends and the best friends is the amount of time that you've known each other and put into the relationships. But as I've been like really diving into friendships and relationships and learning more about this, I think that I've been so focused on like getting more best friends. And so going through, like, I've told you guys how like my pastor has written a couple studies on friendship, and I really appreciate them because they talk about how like social media friends are not bad. And like work friends are not bad. Gym friends are not bad. Like if there's someone that you have to like hang out and go to lunch with and do a little small talk a couple times a month, like there's nothing wrong with that. And your goal does not need to be to make that person your very best friend and your go-to person. And I think for so many years, I was so focused on not having those best friends from high school anymore that I just kept trying anyone that I would meet. I kept trying to force them into that category or that box that I had had before. And so I feel like, and so many people have said to me that like the older they get, like the smaller their circle gets, which I've noticed that too. And I think that that happens, and I think that that's important. I think that your inner circle should be small. But I worry that the smaller my inner circle is, then the greater the potential for me to be in distress again if I lose my circle. And, you know, as you guys know, like one of the people in my circle, there's a whole lot of like deep, different relational history there that it's like, probably not going to have you for very long. Which sucks, but we're not going to worry about that because I'm not going to make you the topic of this podcast every week again. I'm so sorry. Okay, pulling it back. Let's get back on topic. Okay, so where I was going with this was the power of naming the things that are yours. You know, your current relationships, your health, your growth, your stability, your peace, your freedom, you know, your job, your bank account. Like, I think like make a list, just call it like what's already mine, and put it on a piece of paper, a sticky note, keep it in your car or in your pocket or whatever, so that whenever you find yourself in that space where you're spiraling because you're so focused on what you don't have, that, you know, just pull that out of your pocket. If it's a note on your phone, like just pull up the note on your phone and just read it. Just read the list of what's already mine. You know, like there are things that you have. There are things to be grateful for. There are things that can bring you peace, even in the midst of how chaotic the world is. Like there are pockets of peace and hope that do exist in every single life. It's going to look different for all of us, but just make that list of what's already mine and keep it somewhere that's like readily accessible to you so that it can help you out in these moments. I don't have a singular hard conversation that goes along with this topic, so I'm trying to think of like multiple examples that I can use. Friendship in general has been very hard for me for the last, I don't know, 15 or so years. It was very easy for the first 15 to 20 years of my life and really hard after that. But I feel like a lot of it stems from me. Like, I know that I have very high expectations. I know that I'm high maintenance. I know that I am emotional. I require a lot of time and attention. Like, I require a lot from my close friends, and I'm fully aware of that, and I freely admit that. But that doesn't mean that I'm not worthy of friendship or love. I think it does make friends harder to find for me, and harder to make, and harder to keep. And a big part of that is that I hate small talk. Like, I want to have a deep life talk. I don't want to talk about work and the weather. Like, I do that with family and coworkers, and I'm just like, if we're going to talk about work and the weather, like, just somebody else can do that. Like, you don't need to take my time to do that. And I have found that for a lot of people, it's not so much that they're unwilling to go deep. It's more just that they haven't had to, and they haven't learned to, and they don't practice it. So like, there are people in my life who like are willing to be deeper, and I have found these people because I have conversations like this, and then they come to me and then they say things like, you're always complaining that you don't have any friends, and like, everyone's super surface level, and I just want you to know, like, I'm here and I want to be there for you. Like, if you're in distress and you want to talk to somebody about whatever is going on in your heart and mind, like, I'm happy to listen. I'll do my best to give advice. And like, usually when one of my friends comes to me and says this, I'm like, thank you, but I have a couple people that like already know the drill, and I don't really want to teach someone new. But then like, that's not fair to them. It's not fair to them or fair to me to just totally cut them out of it, when like, some people, like, how else are they going to learn and grow and be able to do that for other people if I don't let them practice it with me? And in the past, I think that I have not appreciated and not been grateful for the friends that are the like consistent lunch friends, that like, maybe we do talk about work in the weather, or like, maybe we do just send each other memes on Instagram. Like, I think I've always viewed those relationships as like lesser than the best friend that I can call at 2:00 in the morning when I'm crying about something or whatever, like, but I think that they are just as valuable. And so to go back to the like, what's already mine, it's like, okay, maybe I have more people that I can send memes and random pictures of food to back and forth all day than I have people that like, I can call and say like, I'm not excited to be alive today, and aren't gonna freak out and like call the police or something when I say that, but are gonna like get it and like know like what to say and what to do, just what kind of conversation to lead to out of that. All right, maybe I have more of the light happy fun meme friends, but like, that is still something to be grateful for. I think that is still something to name as something that I have. So I guess this isn't a hard conversation in the sense that like, there was something hard that I needed to discuss with someone, but it was more a hard conversation with myself of saying like, hey, you need to pull back and evaluate like, how do you define friendship? And like, you are defining friendship in this one very narrow, very specific way that it's almost impossible for anyone to actually truly be called a friend by you. So you need to extend that and expand that to be able to say like, friendship can have a wider meaning, and it can have different categories. And there are still going to be people that fit into this like super rare niche that you have, but there are going to be so many more people that fit into the broader category, and you need to let them in and enjoy them and be grateful for them and let them help and use their skills and let them do what they do. And I do want to mention, for anyone that is like super depressed right now, this is not easy. I do remember when I was like at the height of my depression in college, like there was some girl, I don't even remember how I knew her, but she reached out to me through Facebook and she said like, hey, like I see that you're really depressed. Like I think that I can help you. Like, do you want to talk? And I was like, sure. And so we started like talking and she was asking just, like how do you feel about school? How do you feel about like prospects for the future? How do you feel about dating? Like all this stuff. And I would like everything, what I was just super down on everything. I was like, my ex just cheated on me. Like all my friends dumped me. Like school is terrible. Work is terrible. I'm never going to get a job in what I want to do. And she's like, okay. And she was like, do you see the negativity that you're focused on? Like every single thing that you are saying has a negative spin. And like, okay, you don't like your job. Your boss is terrible. The job is terrible, but you have a job, right? You have an income. And she was trying to put a positive spin on everything, but I was just not in a place where I was able to do that or I was able to see it. And I probably ended up like blocking her because I was just so annoyed. So I do want anyone out there that is feeling like, oh, this, yeah, so simple. Let me just make a gratitude list. I understand that it's not that simple. And if you are in a place where you can't do that, if you're in a place where you can't see any light and you don't believe that exists, please know that I see you and I hear you and you are not alone. And I'm not here to tell you that you're going to get out of that place tomorrow. And I'm not going to tell you that you're going to get out of that place by making a gratitude list. I do believe that you will get out of that place. And I think that when you are out of that place, this may be a coping mechanism or skill that you can return to in the future to use to help prevent you from returning to that place in the future. But obviously that does not help right now in this moment. And I just want you to know that that is understood. And if you have people in your life that are just trying to put a positive spin on everything when you can't see it or feel it, and they just kind of say the opposite, and it feels like that's invalidating to your feelings and your situation, then you can totally throw everything that I have said out the window and like F me in my gratitude list. Like sometimes you need to just sit in the despair. Please don't live there indefinitely. But sometimes that's where you are. And I totally get that. To wrap up today, I want to leave you guys with the question, what is something that you've already been given that you haven't truly celebrated? And it can be small. It can literally be like, I had a tasty lunch today. I'm so serious. It can be so minuscule. Oh, well, I don't want to say that's diminishing. I don't want to say it's minuscule. But it can be something that doesn't feel or sound big to you. It can truly be anything, but just what is something that you've already been given that you haven't truly celebrated? And just remember, you don't have to get more to feel whole. You are very likely already holding something that is the best thing that's ever been yours.
You are the best thing that's ever been mine.
Sorry, I had to. I think I've already mentioned all the movies that I've seen recently in the last couple of episodes. I am going to see the new Jurassic World coming up in a few days here, but one of my friends already saw it and she said that it's bad. So I'm preparing for it to be bad, and I'm really just going for Jonathan Bailey. But TV, I did watch the first 3 episodes of Countdown are now live on Prime Video, Jensen Ackles' new show. But to be perfectly honest with you guys, I do not know if I actually like the show and if I actually think that the show is good, or I just love the cast. I love the cast. I particularly love Jensen Ackles, and I'm just so excited to see him back in a leading role. I know he's been on The Boys, but he's the lead of Countdown, and I think he's fantastic, and I love him. So let me get through the season. There's only the 3 episodes out now, so if you want to try it, feel free. But I want to finish the season before I try to form an opinion on whether or not the show is good.
Okay, bye.
Thanks for listening. Leave me a review if you want and have nice things to say, or if you have mean things to say, still leave a review, because people leave more reviews when they have mean things to say. is what it is. But truly, thank you for listening. I'm doing my very best to publish new episodes every Wednesday at 6 a.m. Central Time. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, want to chat, or want to answer the questions I posed for you today, contact me at realhonestpod@gmail.com.
I'm not here to sugarcoat, life's already a bumpy road. Too much shelter causes pain, let's just be real honest. Things are gonna knock you down, avoidance will not help you out. Let's talk it through here, me and you, let's keep it real honest.